And on behalf of Film London, our chairman, Ken Livingston at the end of the row there, and the board, the delegates of Film London, I'd like to welcome you all here this morning for this kind of historic signing agreement between Film London and the Indian Film and Television Producers Guild. We've had a fantastic time so far in Mumbai, part of a developing partnership, and we wouldn't be here without the terrific support. And I'd also like to thank our friends London Unlimited, Visit London, and the UK Film Council for all their support in making this happen. It's no secret that the relationship between London and Mumbai is a burgeoning relationship. There's a lot of work going on, there's a lot of filming going on, and so it seemed entirely appropriate to celebrate and hopefully develop and sustain that relationship for the future by this new agreement. We have some very special guests to introduce to you who are all going to say a few words, and then we're going to actually have the signing of the agreement between the respective, the president of the guild, the production guild, and our chairman of Film London, Ken Livingston. But before we do that, I'd like to, as I say, make a few introductions and have a few people say a few words to you. For us, it's a very important moment, I think, and I think this is a long-term relationship. This is not something just a sort of flash in the pan, here today, gone tomorrow. There are already an enormous amount of films being made from Indian film producers who, by the way, have welcomed us tremendously. We've had a fantastic welcome from the creative community of India whilst we've been here over the last few days. And I think that we hope that the reciprocation, the two-way exchange, is going to become a reality and develop and sustain over future years. So now I'd like to welcome the first of our guests to speak this morning, the president of the Indian Film and Television Producers Guild, a very notable film figure in his own right. Please welcome Ronnie Screwvala.
Thank you very much. Thank you for being here, Honourable Mayor, Amitji, and my colleagues and partners with whom we're going to sign today. I think it's always nice that there is always a culmination of things as they happen. I think there's been a fair amount of work in progress. I hope this is the precursor overall to a co-production and a much larger treaty between the United Kingdom and India overall in almost all spheres of film, animation, television, and everything to do with the media. But I think, as has been rightly put, there is a fair amount of fusion, there is a fair amount of synergy between the two cities. And I think it's ironic that the starting point of a long-term relationship between the two countries, specifically in the form of media, can actually merge with this. I know the focus is on the big screen, but there's a fair amount of interest even on the small screen and in television and in many other aspects of new media, including animation and gaming, where I think there are a tremendous amount of synergies between the technical skills. I know there's been a fair amount of joint ventures happening in the post-production area also, Honourable Mayor, between the two cities from that point of view, and a fair amount of exchange of people in the special effects range, in the gaming industry range, and many others. And I think this will be a first start to that event, and I think we look forward to a lot more. In a sense, I would say that there's been a fair amount of proliferation of this in any case. A fair amount of Indian films have been shot there, and I think it'll be quite some time, but a good event when some of the English films actually get shot in Indian locations, and especially Mumbai, and I think we'll work towards that also, infrastructure notwithstanding between the two cities. So I think we're very happy to culminate this, and thank you for all for being here. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Ronnie. Well, now I'd like to introduce the Mayor of London, Ken Livingston, who is a fantastic supporter of film. I mean, I'm not just saying this because they fund Film London, although they do, but I'm saying this because he is a real enthusiast. He's been incredibly supportive of the work to develop and sustain the creative industries in London and to develop partnerships like this, which is fantastic for us to have that kind of political and strategic support to allow us to achieve things like this. And I'm delighted he's here with us this morning. So please, ladies and gentlemen, welcome the Mayor of London, Ken Livingston.
Well, thanks very much, and I'm absolutely delighted to be here. This is a real step forward in the relationship between Mumbai and London and its and both our film industries, and I think huge potential from the future. Very few Londoners believe it when I tell them that last year 38 Bollywood movies were made in London, And I want to start, I suppose, by thanking the person who inspired the creation of Film London, which was actually Mayor Giuliani, who cut through all the bureaucracy of nightmare of making films in New York by creating an office of film in the mayor's office. And that's actually the plan we followed, because anyone who tried to make a film in London, 32 separate councils, all sorts of authorities, it was a nightmare, and we've been able to make that much more effective. I'm particularly delighted that Amitabh is here. I suspect that we're going to get more attention to this one thing we do than anything else we do on our trip. We met a few months ago in London just before the Indian Film Festival season, which actually wasn't in London, but just a little far to the north. And I know the contribution he's made here to building film, and has become truly, most probably, the most famous actor on the face of the planet today. We're particularly delighted to, as well, thank Whistling Woods for giving us these facilities here today, and thank Ronnie and the Film and Television Producers Guild of India, and also Adrian and Sandy, who have turned Film London into the success it is. Adrian was kind to say I'm generally committed to film. I'm part of that generation that grew up before television, and cinema was something you went to 2 or 3 times a week, and it was our mass entertainment. It suffered a bit as television became so predominant, but it's made an incredible resurgence, being bolder than television is almost ever likely to be, being more inventive. And I grew up, with still my grandmother telling me, because she was born in 1888, that when film first came to a mass audience, how it transformed her lives. She would send me to sleep as a child, not just reading nursery rhymes, but telling me the plots from the great silent movies of the 1920s. And I realised as I got older, for her generation, a generation of people for whom the concept of a foreign holiday or even a holiday was inconceivable, cinema brought the world, often in the makeup of a studio, but it brought the whole world to a mass audience. It was educative, it expanded people's horizons, it gave them things to dream about. And that was so important. It was the first really mass art form, and we shouldn't be in any sense ashamed to say, yes, it is an art form, every bit as important as all the other more traditional forms, and perhaps more so, because it just reaches so many more people and changes so many more lives and inspires so many more dreams. And I remember when I was born, I don't remember when I was born, my parents told me, they weren't going to allow the arrival of a child to interrupt their 3 visits to the cinema every week. So at the age of 6 weeks, I saw my first film. I can't remember who was starring. But of course, taking a cinema could be a very disturbing experience. So whenever I woke up, my mother would take a little can of condensed milk, stick the dummy in the condensed milk, and stick it in my mouth to keep me quiet so they could watch the film. So I grew up in love with film and bad teeth. And this is a great legacy. I'm still coping with the bad teeth, and I'm still in love with the film. I'm also delighted to be here because India is already the 4th largest economy in the world. It is heading to be one of the 3 great economic giants, that within 20 years it won't be a G8, it will be a G3. It will be China and America and India, between them, responsible for over half the economic capacity on the face of the planet. And for smaller nations and cities, we can either grow with those great new emerging economies in this Asian century, or try and erect walls. I see no point in erecting walls. I would rather be part of India's growth and see massive exchanges, foreign investment going both ways, tourists going both ways, culture going both ways. In my city, we have the largest Indian community anywhere on the face of this planet outside of this subcontinent. 500,000 Londoners of Indian origin, 10,000 firms owned by people of Indian origin. It's a great place to come, and I really want the people of India to see London as their natural second home. And so building these links on the basis of film is absolutely a sound part of that strategy, because we know if people see films shot in London, they choose to go there. I didn't know anybody anywhere who'd ever gone from London for a holiday in Seattle until they started screening Frasier. Film, well, film or film to TV or TV, all of this is just about the most dramatic way of opening up people's mind and imagination and building those links. And if I could just flag up, because I mean, I'm the first Mayor of London, so this is the first time a Mayor of London has visited India. I guarantee you, every Mayor of London will always visit India in each of their terms, because you can't ignore this tremendous growth, and we want to be part of it. But just to flag up, on the back of the Olympics, we have to create a vast media complex. 4 billion people will watch the Olympic Games.
And this wonderful facility here at Whistling Woods, which